Jika benih baik jatuh ke laut menjadi pulau. These were the words of Mr. Othman Wok in a speech which he delivered at the Pongal celebrations on the 15th of January 1966. I found this at the start of a speech that I was looking at in the research that I was doing in our National Archives. Pongal is an Indian harvest festival. You have to imagine in 1966, he was delivering this speech to a group of Tamils, other Indian-speaking people, and he began with a quote in Malay. He went on to explain, and if I may quote from his speech, "Jika benih baik jatuh ke laut menjadi pulau." It means if it is a good seed, it will grow into an island when it falls into the sea. In our context, the island has already attained nationhood, and our job now is to demonstrate how a compact island with no natural resources but abounding in racial tolerance and industrial determination can and will achieve economic viability. The seeds that Mr. Othman Wok planted, multiracialism, an approach to building a shared space built on compromise and sacrifice, and a willingness to take on the challenges of the world around him, these have grown. These have grown, and the fruits of his labor are visible in the society we live in, the identity we share, and the nation that we are all proud of. Mr. Othman Wok championed the cause of multiracialism. The work that he did and the values he upheld have a direct connection with the organization that I chair, onepeople.sg. We celebrate our 10th anniversary this year, and tonight we celebrate Mr. Othman Wok. The approach to racial and social harmony taken by the pioneer generation of leaders in independent Singapore was quite unlike anything that had been attempted in history. They did not take the path of least resistance, where the dominant majority's interests trumped all else. They did not follow a path of idealism and symbolism, pretending that race was not an important factor. Instead, they chose an untried, difficult, challenging approach to recognize the differences and to work to overcome them painstakingly, repeatedly, with an eye to intervening proactively wherever possible. One key difference when compared to history was the method that they chose to establish a shared space. It was not one where each tribe or group or community was encouraged to fight for their position. It was not set up as an adversarial relationship where community leaders were encouraged to think in terms of winners and losers. They recognized that a shared approach to sacrifice would in the end benefit all. And all communities gave up something. All our people sacrificed something, majority and minority alike together. Language, religious practice, dress codes, social customs, aspects of education. We were all prepared to give up something for the greater good. We developed a consciousness that in matters of racial harmony, giving was better than taking. Sacrifice and compromise was better than winning. They planted a seed of an idea that we had to build this nation together, that we all have to contribute. And the way onepeople.sg came into being reflects this ethos. The self-help groups, Mendaki, CDAC, SINDA, came together with the CDCs to found OPSG. Individual groups that had as their mission and their purpose the service of a particular community or a particular portion of Singapore, they came together to set up a single national organization to promote and to defend the ideals of racial harmony. The continuing need for OPSG and the work that we do does not mean that these ideals and ideas of multiracialism have not thrived. It's a reflection that these are important and will remain an important part of our social compact for generations. This is summed up in perhaps two further quotes from Mr. Othman Wok found in our National Archives, which I'd like to quote from. The first was delivered on the 2nd of March in 1966. This was a speech at the National Leadership Training Institute. He says, "Multiracialism has taken firm roots in our republic, serving as the government's cornerstone in policies and legislation. It has proved remarkably effective, not only in racial and religious affairs, but also in economic and political spheres, For it is only with such equality that the communities that make up our nation can give of their best. Although the battle for racial equality in Singapore has been won, it does not mean that we can afford to sit back and relax. It is our duty to be ever vigilant and to sustain and consolidate the good work that we have built through united efforts so that we can be a living testimony that a multiracial society can work. The second quote, delivered at a Hari Raya celebration on the 27th of February 1969. I would like to see your children learn from you the important social lessons of life in the context of Singapore. I would like to see your children learn from you religious tolerance, the ability of mixing, working, and playing with the others in our multiracial society. To prevent all our achievements and progress from coming to naught, yours is the responsibility of bringing up your children with a national consciousness in our multiracial, multi-religious, and multilingual society so that at any time in the future, they will be ready, willing, and able to defend our republic and to perpetuate the happy, progressive, and prosperous society which they now live in. The idea of a shared sacrifice as a way to develop the common space around multiracialism was an important seed planted by the pioneer leaders. Another, perhaps just as important seed planted by Mr. Othman Wok and his colleagues was that we do not have to accept the world as it is. He had both a discontent with the state of things around him and a willingness to do something about it. This is all the more remarkable when you consider the lived experience of his generation. War and conflict sweeping the world, falling bombs that prevented him from taking his secondary school exams, volunteering with other boys to work as message runners in the event of an invasion, the great ideas of capitalism and imperialism and communism and rebellion coming across oceans with travelers and in the books and in the news, kampongs and living quarters that were sometimes racially segregated, jobs and education that were only available to certain people, loyalties that were expected of you because of the color of your skin or the religion of your family, conflicts that you were expected to support because of where your ancestors were born. In this environment, it is remarkable for a handful of people to believe that their ideas and ideals could heal and shape an entire country. To look at all of this around you and believe that you can do something about it. This takes confidence, this takes courage. And it required a new form of loyalty to one another, to a cause and a people that had yet to exist. This is another legacy, another seed that was planted. We are a future-facing nation. We don't dwell on the past, but we ask ourselves, how can we make tomorrow better? We want our children's lives to be different from ours, better and brighter. This attitude is a legacy of those ideas, that seed that was planted, that each generation can learn from the past, learn the lessons of the past, and commit to living our lives and bringing up our children with those values clearly visible in our deeds and in our words. The courage that Mr. Othman Wok demonstrated was remarkable, has been highlighted, and we can try to understand that. We hope we live up to those ideals. It's one thing to look inside yourself, see that discontent, find the iron will, the fire and energy to want to change the world around you. But there was something more that he did, a further act of courage. You must imagine in 1954, Mr. Othman Wok, the descendant of Orang Laut, a people that had fished and sailed these waters, perhaps tilled the land for generations, had seen waves of immigrants, waves of colonizers, waves of people of different faiths, different skin color, different attitudes, different behaviors, different ideals. And in 1954, to not just look inside himself, but to look at the men who stood in front of him, people of different faiths and different ideals, different religions, to look at them and to find a common shared vision, to find some common humanity, and to make the choice to stand with them. This is courage not just in your own self-confidence. This is courage not only in your own abilities, but a faith and a trust in your comrades. This is a different type of courage. This is an extra step to find courage in someone that looks different from you. Courage to have faith in someone who sounds different from you. Courage that they will stand by you as you stand by them, because you share ideals as comrades. That faith and trust in a group of people other than yourself, that ideal of one people, they lived that ideal through that courage. We will not be one people because the pioneer generation decided it was a good idea. We will not become one people from their hard work and sacrifice alone. We cannot become one people by decree. We will only develop that unity of spirit, that common purpose, that sense of togetherness that marks us as one people through our own actions and through our own sacrifice. Jika benih baik jatuh ke laut menjadi pulau. My deepest condolences to the family, and terima kasih, Mr Othman Wok.